Okay. So the main topics for Unit 1 were significant figures, and dimensional analysis, unit cancellation, scientific notation. So those are the areas this test will address. Okay, convert to scientific notation. Okay, remember scientific notation has got two parts to it. One is a number from 1 to 9. And the other is an exponential number base 10. Okay, so the decimal point is here, so we're gonna go 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you move the decimal point to the left, exponent is positive. If you move the decimal point to the right, it's negative. Okay. And we retain the sig figs because there's no decimal point there. It only has 2 sig figs. What if the decimal point, what would we do if we had a decimal point there? Because that's 7 sig figs. How would we write our scientific notation? Huh? Yeah, the first one up there, A. Yeah, we'd add zeros to get the sig figs up. So we'd have what we'd have 4.3 and, like you said, 5 zeros. That would get it up to high enough sig figs. Okay. So scientific notation is very handy in that regard. You can decrease or increase sig figs in the number from 1 to 9 in scientific notation. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Okay, we're moving the decimal point to the right now. So that means it's going to be a negative exponent. Now on C, C has 1 sig fig. Now you can write it like this, or you can write it like this. I prefer this. Some people say, well, 1 times anything is itself. That's the identity theorem in numbers, which is true. 1 times anything is itself. Okay, give the number of sig figs. Now, these are worth 5 points apiece. So depending on, I mean, it's hard to give partial credit on this one. Word problems, it's easier to give word problems partial credit. This is kind of tough to do because these problems the answer is so black and white, it's hard to do. Okay, sig figs. All right, we've got a 0 at the end. and a decimal point, that means it counts. We have mid zeros, those count. Zeros in the beginning don't count. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, mid-level zeros here count, so we're looking at 5. Trailing zeros with no decimal point don't count, so we just have 1. Okay, we're gonna round these guys to 3 sig figs. So you go to the 4th place. If it's 5 or more, it kicks the last number up by 1. So that means it's going to be 5, 6, 5. Okay, I'm going to go to the 4th place again. 0 to 4, we drop it. Now C is kind of tricky because it's got a decimal point, so all those zeros have to be in there, but we can only have 3 sig figs. So the best way to do this, scientific notation. So let's convert it to scientific notation with 3 figs, 3 sig figs. And we have what? 6 of these guys. Which one? Yes, so what was your question then? Yeah, because if 10 to the 8th isn't there, the number is really different. Is that your question? Yeah, so yes.
So basically, we put the 8.90, but we have to include the rest of the answer that's already there.
Yeah, because the sig figs don't go into effect on the exponents. Okay. These guys are multiplying and dividing. Okay, so we have 5 sig figs. And a whole bunch here. We got 2, 4, 8. So our answer is going to have 5. Okay, 2 sig figs. 6. So your answer is going to have 2. And this one I'm going to have 5. 6. So answer is going to have 5.
The answer review is just one problem.
I'm sorry, what?
The answer review is just one problem.
Yeah. For those of you who are really like scientific notation, the other way to write this would be 1.1 times 10 to the 0. Which is more awkward than 1.1, so I would recommend leaving it at 1.1. Okay, kilometers to feet. This is where our conversion table comes into play. So we need kilometers and feet. Okay, one way would be kilometer to mile, mile to feet. Another way would be kilometer to meter, meter to feet. So let's go, okay, two sig figs. Okay, we're going years to minutes. So, we can go, there's two ways to go on this one. You can go, years to, 12 months, 52 weeks. Let's go 52 weeks. And the answer is going to be two sig figs because everything else is exact. Yeah,
I
yeah, there's a
got,
couple different ways to,
no, I actually put the track on. Consumption, the way I did it was wrong. I went from, I went from years to days, to hours, to minutes, to.
yeah, no, the logic makes sense. I don't know why the answers are different, because mine is 1.20, so it isn't even close to 3. Okay. Now on these are worth 8 points apiece. If you have the setup right, that's 90% of 8 is what, 7? If you miss the sig figs, in your answer, that's 1. If you left off a unit, that's 1, or if you miss the numerical part, that's 1. So any of those, I would take off 1. I wouldn't take off 3 though. I would take off 1 if you did any of those, okay? All right, lastly, ounces to milligrams. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? Well, we can go ounces to pound to gram, gram to milligram. Okay, so we're going to go. The ounces to pound. And then ounces to, pound to gram. So this is gonna be. And then gram to milligram. Now, the only thing that not by definition is the middle one there, the grams to pound. So our answer is going to have 4 sig figs. there is a page missing. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, so we got gas in Canada. And your car takes gallons. So what's given? I'm sorry, what? Now that's a fraction, so that means it's, see the per? Automatically becomes a fraction or conversion factor. So in this case, we don't want to start with a conversion factor. What should we start with?
Let's say $1,399. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's $1.40 basically. Yeah, start with the 12. Then if we can get it to liters, then we have the dollars per liter. So how many gallons? So we've got 3.785 liters to a gallon. Three. This gets us to liters. Now we can invoke the dollar.
Is that first number on top?
Mhm,
What is it?
12.
No, the one next to it on top.
3.785 liters.
Like. Huh? Oh. It's kind of hard to read here. But then again, my hand.
Sorry. Now remember with money, it either has 0 decimal places or 2. Did you get a different number?
Yeah.
Now this problem is slightly different. So we have one conversion factor is 1 blink One blink for 3 minutes. I blink a lot more often than that. Okay, and then we have, how many, how many times do they blink per year? Okay, so what's given? Yeah, so a fraction's given. So your answer is gonna be a fraction. Or if your answer is a fraction, you're gonna start with a fraction. Remember, there are two parts to fraction problems. First, we do the top, then we do the bottom. Now, in this case, the top is already at blinks. So we didn't do anything with the top, just the bottom. So we need to go from minutes to years here. And let's move that over here. So we're gonna cancel the minutes. Okay, so we've got blinks per year. And we're looking at 3 sig figs. So fraction to fraction. And then we have the gold coin. Now, let me explain this again. So what they were doing during World War II, they were taking a gold coin and buffing off gold. So you can, down to the point where you can barely read it. So it was considered legal tender. They would cash it back in for $20, get another one, buff it down. Each time they buffed it down, they buffed off 1 gram of gold. Okay, so, and by the way, the current price on gold I was just reading is $3,700 an ounce. Okay. Now this was in North Africa. I don't know how widespread it was, but my dad was stationed there in World War II. Okay, so what do we start with? Yeah,
30.0926.
okay, that's how many grams are in a coin. But how many, the deal is how much did the government lose?
Uh,
When they turned the $20 gold piece back in, it was less, how much? How much did they buff off?
1 grand.
1 gram, right? And how many coins do we have? Yeah, 400 and so thousand coins, right?
25,000.
So 1 gram per coin. That gives us grams of gold the government lost. Now we need to go from grams to ounce. And once we know ounces, we can figure out money. So well, we can go grams to pound. Hmm. What's the number? 453.59. 453.50. And now we have pounds. 16 ounces per pound. And then the dollar is 3,700 per ounce. Pounds cancel, ounces cancel. That's $58 million the government lost.
Get the.
So where? Oh, I just looked it up, the current price. Otherwise, according to the problem, we should have used 1798. But the current price of gold is looked it up. So there's another, yeah. No, I'm not gonna have this problem on the test. There's too much confusion. Most people were not doing the problem right. They were using 30.0926 per coin, but that wasn't the amount lost. And so either I should have worded it clearer or, but anyway, it won't be this problem. It'll be, a problem, but it won't be this. Okay, there will be a squared or cubic problem in there. So let's do one of those. Let's say let's say we start with 456 cubic kilometers. Now that's really big. And let's say, how many inches is that? Okay, so we can go from cubic kilometer to cubic meter. And we can go. Oh, let's see. Meter to centimeter, and centimeter to inches. Okay, so. What did I say? Now, we've got everything cancels except for cubic inches. That we have to put our conversion factors in now. And we have to convert them from linear to cubic. That means we're going to be cubing some of these numbers. So kilometers to meters. That means that's 1,000 cubed. Centimeters. That is 'Now you can do this problem one or two ways. We can do the conversions and then plug in those numbers, or we can just do it all together. Let's do, let's calculate the conversions and then put them in. So we're going to have a 1,000 cubed is going to be 10 to the ninth. A 100 cubed is 10 to the sixth. And then 254 cubed is Now, again, for those of you who are proficient at calculators, you can do this all in one line. You don't have to do the intermediate step. I think it's clearer, my opinion, to do the intermediate step. And if it was squared, you just square it instead of cube everything. Okay, so that's a good review for tomorrow. Um, so I should have them graded also by, these are pretty easy to grade. Would take forever, the organic test. They're 9 and 10 pages long. Times 50 students, that's a ream of paper I have to grade. Okay, any questions about any of these problems? You'll have approximately the same number of problems as this test. -1. Because I put an extra problem in. Yours will have the same number. Now I have practice worksheets. I've got dry labs 1 and 2 for practice. All those would be good practice for tomorrow. Does anyone have an accommodation for extra time? Okay, so you guys, I give everyone 2 hours, which you can take longer than that for your accommodation. Okay. Do you need anything else? I forgot. It's just extra time. Extra time. Just extra time. And a what? Yeah, you can either go to the lab. Or you can, if there's no one in the museum, you can just, there's a lot of tables out here. And you can, if you go to the lab, you can't have food or drink though. Out here, you can have lots of food and drink and gum. Now, make sure when you go to lab today, you have proper shoes. Yes, like those. Now, this lab is going to be pretty safe. So is anyone not able to get a lab coat in time? Okay. I may have one I can loan you, but it's just a water lab. It's a pretty safe lab. What about goggles? I'm loaning you goggles. You need to get this stuff. Okay, I'm going to end this now and